Hi, I'm James Schillinglaw here at the Swiss Travel Market in Lucerne, and we're here with Francois Michel, who's Vice President Marketing for Vaud, the Lake Geneva region, and it's actually a place that we did a little pre-trip for, and to be honest with you, it's a favorite place of mine because I lived there once. So we're going to talk to him about Vaud and Lake Geneva region on Insider Travel Report. Now, Francois, first of all, as I said, I lived in Lausanne many, many, many years ago, and every time I come back, it's such a joy to return. And just, however briefly we were there this time before the Swiss Travel Market, it was so wonderful to be down near Ouchy and to all the places. Let's talk a little bit about, first of all, Lausanne is becoming, I think, a really great city for people to visit, right?
Oh, absolutely, and it has always been. You know, it's the center of Olympism. It's where the Olympic Committee is headquartered. We have the Olympic Museum, but beside that, it's also becoming a great art city. We just opened a brand new art museum near the train station, which will be the first phase opened a couple of weeks ago. We'll be expanding within the last couple of years. So I think that's going to be one of the major attractions in Lausanne for the years to come, beside the fact that it's a beautiful city right on the lakeside. You have this fantastic scenery overlooking the Lake Geneva, the French Alps on the other side, and of course the close proximity to the wine area, and especially Vaud, which is a UNESCO World Heritage.
Yeah, well, we did go a little bit in the Vaud, but one of the things is a couple of STMs ago, I didn't get a chance to see the Olympic Museum. So this is the first time for me, and it's been a couple of years now, right?
Oh, yes. Actually, it's been open since 20 years, but they renovated the whole place 4 years ago. So it's much more interactive now than it was before.
Yeah, it's a wonderful attraction. It is very much interactive. Everything you thought you knew about the Olympics, there's a lot more that you can find out in this museum, right?
Absolutely. You can learn everything about the previous games. You can learn about the athletes who competed in those games. And one thing that we are very proud of is to welcome in January 2020 in Lausanne the Youth Olympic Games, the Winter Youth Olympic Games, which will take place in January. Of course, it's not as big as the regular Winter Olympics, but we'll be hosting 1,800 athletes from 15 to 18 years old who will come to Lausanne and the surrounding areas to compete for downhill skiing, cross-country, hockey games, etc.
So there's sports to be had. And of course, we mentioned the wine region, the Vaud, which is the region kind of between Lausanne and Montreux, Vevey. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, I believe, and it just really is an amazing vineyard. It's a typical terraced vineyards going down to the lake. And really, what's the best way to visit the Vaud area?
It's probably through some of the hiking paths we have through the vineyards. You can either hike or bike, even though the terrain is quite steep, but those paths are quite flat. So you have all the time to enjoy the scenery, get, of course, a glass of nice wine, of chasselas, during your time in the area, and maybe visit some of the local villages, meet the winemakers there. So it's a perfect opportunity to enjoy a 1 or 2 days stay in the region.
And actually, this year we just missed a big festival, and now it's another 20 years till the next one. What is that festival again?
It's called the Fête des Vignerons, the Winemakers Festival, which is an event taking place, as you mentioned, every 20 to 25 years. And it's not about the festival itself is not about the wine. It's about the human being. It's the recognition of the winemaker, all the work that is behind the wine before it's being produced, the life of a winemaker through the year, and what it has to do to produce that wonderful liquid.
Yeah, no, and I'm sorry I missed it. It's like one of these things that it's kind of like I likened it to the great passion play up in Ammergau, but a little bit different theme, right?
Yes, and Unlike the Oberammergau play, which is, I think, every 5 or 10 years,
10 years, yeah.
this one is every 20 to 25 years, once per generation.
I don't know if I'm going to make the next one, but whatever. I saw. Anyway, and then one of the other places we went to that I had not been, that opened fairly recently in the last few years, is the Charlie Chaplin Museum and Experience, and I was totally unprepared for that. It is really an amazing experience that shows the life of the actor, the filmmaker, in a very, again, interactive way and very impressive way, because I had forgotten a lot about his movies. And I will say this, is that when I was very young, 11, 12 years old, I saw him in a restaurant in Vevey.
Oh, you did?
Many years ago, except I thought of him as the tramp, and when my parents pointed out this white-haired gentleman over in the corner, he said, well, that's not Charlie Chaplin, but it was. So it was interesting to go back to where his home was. Talk a little bit about that museum, because it's really amazing.
Yeah, Charlie Chaplin lived in Vevey, or in Corsier, which is the village above Vevey, for about 25 years. He died there in 1977. The museum has two parts. One is the former mansion, is the home or the house where he lived with his family. So you can really see how he lived with his kids and wife and his daily life. You go from one room to the other, and it's really been redone or renovated absolutely the way it was, with the furnitures and everything. And then on the side of the mansion, we built a new construction, a new.
It's like a studio almost. It's like
a studio, and everything there is about his work. And about the movies.
You sit there for hours just watching the movies, right?
Yes, or live through the movies. He was also, and that's something which is not very well known, he was also a composer. He wrote the music for a number of his movies, so you can also learn about that. There's a small theater at the beginning where you sit and see part of his activities, and obviously you learn more about his life as an actor and as a producer.
And as an artist, and the whole sort of crazy way he started, because you know, this is a man who ultimately was the greatest star of his era, and everyone knew who he was, to the point where when Hitler came to power, I think I read at one point, he said he thought Charlie thought he was imitating me with the mustache. So it was interesting to see that. And of course he made the famous film The Great Dictator, which was a kind of a spoof and a stick in the eye to Hitler at the time. He's an amazing man, and just to see his art and his life there, and to realize that he spent probably some of the happiest moments of his life in the last 25 here, just in a little village above Vevey, right?
Yes. And what is interesting about this museum is that it appeals. I mean, you and I, we saw the movies of Charlie Chaplin. We knew about his life. But for instance, the younger generation, my kids, for instance, I don't think they have, even seen a movie of Charlie Chaplin. But they went to the museum and they loved it. So it's attracting not only the older generation, like you and I, but also the younger one. And the kids love to go through that place and learn about this life.
And I actually loved the later films, which I wasn't as familiar with. I grew up with all the silent films and the Little Tramp, but then to see the newer ones that he had done, really as an amazing filmmaker. Now, is there any other highlights you'd like to tell us about the Vaud and the Lake Geneva region?
Yes, there's actually a new product that we will introduce next year. It's part of the Golden Pass, or the panoramic train, the Golden Pass line, which goes from Montreux to Interlaken or vice versa. At the moment, visitors have to change train in a small village called Zweisimmen on the way to Interlaken, or on the way back from Interlaken. As of next December 2020, people will be able to stay on the train the whole trip, because we are putting together a new, because of the gorge, which is different on one section. we are putting a new system where wagons will be able to run all the way through. So it will be much more convenient, no transfers, not to worry about your luggage, but just you sit in it, you start your trip in Interlaken, you end in Montreux, or vice versa.
Well, that sounds fun. It is a mountain train I've actually never experienced. I've done a lot of mountain trains here in the Glacier Express and more recently the Bernina, the Goddard, but that's one I guess I have to aim for when I come back.
Great new product.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you very much, Francois, for taking the time to fill us in on all the things that are going on in Vaud-Lake Geneva region. It is close to my heart, having lived there, and there's amazing new attractions that I think your clients will enjoy immensely, and then something to come with the new train. Great to see you.
Thank you, James, and please come back to Lausanne and eat that famous Globus. What was it?
I said I used to go. There was an apartment store called Innovation. Now it's Globus, and there was a hot dog that I used to love when I was 12 years old, and I have gone back to try it. This time was a little too close. This time I didn't have a chance to go back there, but for some reason that just resonates with me. As you know, it's a marvelous city. The downtown Centre-Ville in Lausanne is a wonderful medieval town and also a modern shopping district. It's amazing.
We have to get a nice Globus hot dog.
You got it. That's a date, so we'll see you then. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. Thank you.
I'm James Schillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.